My name is Earl Grey Anderson. I'm State Director for MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network in Southern California. And I'm also an executive committee member of MUFON's Experiencer Resource Team. There's a reason for that. 9 years ago, I had been a field investigator for maybe 6 months or so. I had maybe 30 cases under my belt. I was getting pretty good at, telling the difference between a satellite, the space station, and a UFO, and we get all manner of reports, still do, and sort of like Dr. Hynek said, 1 out of 10 UFO reports winds up being interesting, and usually the 9 out of 10 are, prosaic objects and stuff. But I closed a case. It was a party balloon, a Mylar party balloon that was spinning around, flashing in the sun, feeling my oats. I didn't give it a UFO disposition. It was an IFO, Identified Flying Object. So I went upstairs. We lived in Burbank, California, not a rural area. We had like a little loft bedroom, my wife and I. I went upstairs. I like to sleep with a bunch of pillows behind my back because I have a bad back. And I turned the lights. Well, the lights were out actually, but we had a night light that I kind of dimmed, and I'm lying there, and this strange thing started happening. Our room started filling with this blue glow. It was like a light without a source. Normally I would like, come to attention and wonder what the heck was going on, but it seemed like the brighter this blue light got, the calmer I got. It was sort of an unnatural calmness in the situation. So I'm lying in the bed. My wife is next to me, dead to the world. She was out. It's about midnight. And it got brighter and brighter. We had crickets up in the rafters. It was an old house. Couldn't hear crickets. Couldn't hear external sounds. If you've ever heard the expression, the Oz effect, that is exactly what we were experiencing. It was in full play. So time seemed strangely slowed down somehow. You couldn't hear external sounds outside of that room, like a quiet room. And this blue light, it got brighter and brighter. And I noticed that in front of our bed, there was this spinning bit of light that it became brighter. It was kind of the color of sepia, or like yellow parchment paper, and it was spinning in a counterclockwise direction, and it almost looked like staring at a galaxy from overhead, like a whirlpool galaxy. This thing was spinning around, and again I felt weirdly calm. I wasn't questioning it. So our visitors were kind of running the dialogue already. They kind of take over the situation, and they make your space into their space. So this spinning area in front of the bed suddenly opened from the center out. It was about a 7-foot wide hole in space in our room. I used to call it a hole in the wall, but it wasn't in the wall. It was in like maybe 3 feet away from the bed. When this thing opened up, it was just bright light was pouring through it. You couldn't see the blue light in our room anymore. It was almost like everything else became inconsequential. What was far in the distance, you could see these 4 little sort of diminutive beings that were pulling up towards me. They didn't walk up. It was as though they were on a platform, or that they were floating slightly off the floor. And they pulled up to the foot of the bed. There was there were 3 on my right, and there was 1 on my left. And they were the little gray guys that you see depicted in film and commercials even now, with the black eyes, 4 foot tall. Their faces were just almost infantile looking. The mouth was an afterthought. An infantile looking nose, tiny, tiny nostrils. And they moved and worked like they were a surgical team. It was the strangest thing. No communication, and I was trying to communicate with them. I knew enough about the phenomenon that I knew usually you'd get a calming message if you had a visit or if you were taken. But I was getting nothing back from them. They attached these tubes to my chest, and I believe that maybe they attached them to my legs as well, but I couldn't see down there. I was paralyzed. Couldn't move a muscle at this point. All I could move were my eyes. And I'll tell you, when you look into these entities, black eyes, it's like staring into the abyss. You can't look away. It's the strange sort of, like a, I don't know, communion, you know, I guess to quote good old Whitley, that happens. I'm trying, at this point I was really scared because I wasn't getting a calming message. Usually people will hear, don't worry, this will be over soon, it's for the good of humanity, for the good of our species, but I wasn't getting anything back. And it felt like they were taking blood and energy from me, or maybe it was just blood, but I felt faint after a while. And I was scared. I thought that maybe they were just going to exsanguinate me, that I'd be like one of those cows they find along the sides of the road. But that didn't happen. The tubes detached. They went backwards, like pulled back towards that opening in space that they created. The beings, the same thing. They'd finished what they were doing. They kept staring at me, and again, you can't stop looking at them. It's like you're drawn to their eyes. They pulled backwards. They didn't turn around and walk. They just kept on looking at me, and it was just like the same way that they came in, but in reverse. They went far, far, far into the distance. It was very dramatic. And then it's the same hole that had opened up in space in front of our bed. It closed the same way that it opened. It closed from the periphery to the center, and there was just like this little dot that was left, sort of like when you turn off an old school television set. And then that faded. My wife is still dead asleep next to me. The room was still flooded with this blue glow. My eyes adjusted to it, and I couldn't move, but I slowly started getting some movement in my fingers and my feet. And the first thing I did was I started yelling, and yelling must have woken up the neighbors next door, because I was really pretty much screaming. My wife was not happy about this. She thought that I had lost my mind, and more or less told me so, and I felt embarrassed. You know, she kind of said, you've joined this crazy UFO group, and now you're yelling about aliens coming into the room, you know, what's next? I rolled over and I could not sleep. I kind of got into a fetal position, and we didn't talk about what happened the next day. 2 nights after my visit, the same thing happened again, but the shoe was on the other foot. They came for my wife. Now, I was apparently put out when it happened, because I don't remember anything except for my wife, Lisa, shaking me, waking me, yelling, and she starts pacing back and forth next to the bed. And our room had that weird glow, that blue glow, without a source. But it's almost like, you know, it was just the strangest thing. And my wife is going, oh my God, Earl, you need to tell your little friends that they need to leave us alone. I won't use the word in case kids are watching this. She said, I didn't sign up for this. But weirdly, we didn't talk about it the next day either. I remembered everything. I don't know that Lisa remembered anything except for that blue glow. After those 2 occurrences, it was 2 nights later, and this time we both woke up. I don't know if we had a visit or if there was something that happened before. But we both woke up, and again, our room was flooded with this blue light, but now there was a brighter light coming from our backyard. We both got up out of bed. I was on the right-hand side of the window. Lisa was on the left. I pulled up the Venetian blinds. And it was as though God had a spotlight and he was shining it right down on our backyard, maybe 30, 40 feet across. It was like laser bright, to where every single leaf, every branch just cast a deep shadow, like India ink black. We're looking at each other. We're wondering what's going on. You could see a couple of the neighbors' porch lights going on. And Lisa and I both had a telepathic message at the same time. And it was like a cosmic joke. The message was, don't worry, it's just the neighbor's porch light. I don't know if that was a cosmic joke or if they were trying to give us some calming message finally, on the third night this had happened. But Lisa and I looked at each other eye to eye and we started laughing, and we both said out loud, "That's no porch light." And, at that point I knew that this phenomenon, it was not just, aliens coming and showing off their cosmic hot rods or doing air shows, but that this phenomena is a personal phenomenon. I was very afraid at first, but I made an appointment to speak with Kathleen Marden from MUFON. And after talking with her for about an hour, somehow or another, it seemed like a weight was taken off my shoulders. It was very cathartic. But that's where it kind of started for me, when I became more than obsessed about the UFO phenomenon. I found out that if you poke at it, it pokes back.